This is the 11th series of research mathematics containing question number 40 to question number 52 of the year 2011 Ethiopian calendar. Question number 40. For a real number x and y, which one of the following is not true? A. There exists some x for every y such that y greater than or equal to x squared plus 1. All y can't be greater than or equal to x squared plus y. Thus, choice A is false. Choice B. For every x, there exists y such that y greater than or equal to x squared plus 1. You can find a certain y that is greater than or equal to x squared plus 1 for any x. So, choice B is true. Choice C. For every x and every y, or for all x and all y, x squared plus y squared is greater than or equal to negative 1. The sum of the square of any two numbers is greater than negative 1, but not equal to negative 1. So choice C is also not true. Choice D. For some x, there exists some y such that y greater than x squared plus 1. We can find a certain y for some x such that y greater than x squared plus 1. So choice D is also true. The correct answer or the choices not true are either choice A or choice C. Question number 41. If the second and the fifth terms of a geometric progressions are negative 1 over 2 and 1 over 16 respectively, what is the sum of the first 8 terms of a sequence? Given the second term, that's g2 is equal to negative 1 over 2, and the fifth term g5 is equal to 1 over 16. The sum S7 of a finite geometric series is given by the formula S7 is equal to g1 times 1 minus r to the power of n divided by 1 minus r. This implies S sub 8 is equal to g1 times 1 minus r to the power of 8 divided by 1 minus r. Let's determine g1 and r. The nth term of a geometric progression is calculated by using the formula g7 is equal to g1 times r to the power of n minus 1. Thus, g2 is equal to g1 times r to the power of 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, so r to the power of 1 means r. This implies g2 is given as negative 1 over 2, which is equal to g1 times r. And g5 is equal to g1 times r to the power of 5 minus 1. This implies g5 is given as 1 over 16, which is equal to g1 times r to the power of 5 minus 1 means r to the power of 4. Let's take the ratio of g2 to g5. That's negative 1 over 2 divided by 1 over 16 is equal to g1 times r divided by g1 times r to the power of 4. This implies negative 1 over 2 times the reciprocal of the denominator, that's 16 divided by 1, which is equal to g1 cross out by g1, r at the numerator, cancel 1 r at the denominator, then we left with 1 over r cube, which is equal to by 2 1, by 2 8, negative 1 times 8 is negative 8, which is equal to 1 over r cube. This implies, switch negative 8 and r cube, we will find r cube is equal to negative 1 over 8. Taking the cube root of both sides, the cube root of r cube is equal to r, and the cube root of negative 1 over 8 is negative 1 over 2. Let's use the first formula, that's g2 is equal to g1 times r1 to solve for g1. g2 is given as negative 1 over 2 is equal to g1 times r is negative 1 over 2. Negative 1 over 2 cross out by negative 1 over 2, then we left with g1 is equal to 1. Let's substitute g1 and r to the equation, so the sum becomes 1 times 1 minus negative 1 over 2 to the power of 8 divided by 1 minus negative 1 over 2. 1 times any number is the number itself, so we left with 1 minus negative 1 over 2 to the power of 8 is 1 over 256 divided by 1 minus negative 1 over 2 means 1 plus 1 over 2, which is equal to 1 times 256 is 256 minus 1 divided by 256 over 1 plus 1 over 2 is 3 over 2, which is equal to 256 minus 1 is 255 divided by 256 times the reciprocal of the denominator, that's 2 over 3, which is equal to by 3 1 by 3 85, by 2 1 by 2 128, 85 times 1 is 85 divided by 128 times 1 is 128, so the answer is 85 over 128, or choice B is the correct answer. Question number 42. Which one of the following is a valid argument? A formal proof or proof by a sequence of reasoning can be used to check the validity of these logical statements. For the purpose, let's write the statement in the form of logical arguments by using symbols. Choice A, if I don't change my oil regularly, that's negation of P, my engine will die, implies Q. My engine died, Q. This yields, I didn't change my oil regularly, that's negation of P. Q is true, because it's always assumed that the premises are true. Negation of P implies Q is true, whether negation of P is true or false, because Q is true. In other words, the conclusion can be true or false, thus the argument is invalid. Choice B, if it's rain or snow, that's P or Q, then my roof leaks, implies R. My roof is leaking, R. This yields, it's raining and snowing, that's P and Q. R is true because it's a premise. P or Q implies R is true, whether P or Q is true or false, because R is true. P and Q will be false if P or Q is false. The conclusion have a chance to be false, thus the argument is invalid. Choice C, if you do every problem in the book, that's P, then I will learn the subject, implies Q. You learned the subject, that's Q. You did every problem in the book, this yields P. Q is true. Q is true because it's a premise. P implies Q is true whether P is true or false, because Q is true. Thus the argument is invalid because the conclusion has a chance to be false. Choice D, I am illiterate, that's P. Then I can read and write, implies Q and R. I can read but I can't write, that's Q and negation of R. This yields I am not illiterate, that's negation of P. Q and negation of R is true because it's a premise. In other words, both Q and negation of R are true. If negation of R is true, then R is false, and his Q and R is false. P implies Q and R is true only when P is false. If P is false, negation of P is true, thus the argument is valid. Therefore, choice D is the correct answer. Question number 43. What is the value of integral of x to the power of e minus 1 plus e to the power of x minus 1, the whole over x to the power of e plus e to the power of x dx? Integration by substitution is appropriate to solve this integral. Thus, let u is equal to the denominator, that's x to the power of e plus e to the power of x. Then du is equal to the derivative of x to the power of e is e times x to the power of e minus 1 plus the derivative of e to the power of x is e to the power of x itself times dx. Let's take e as a common factor, that's e times x to the power of e minus 1 plus is e to the power of x divided by e dx, which is equal to e times x to the power of e minus 1 plus e at the denominator means e to the power of 1. Since the base is the same, we can solve this as e to the power of x minus 1 dx. Thus, we get derivative of u is equal to e times x to the power of e minus 1 plus e to the power of x minus 1 dx. Multiplying both sides by 1 over e, we will find 1 over e times du is equal to x to the power of e minus 1 plus e to the power of x minus 1 dx. So the integral of x to the power of e minus 1 plus e to the power of x minus 1 divided by x to the power of e plus e to the power of x dx can be rewritten as integral of 1 over x to the power of e plus e to the power of x times x to the power of e minus 1 plus e to the power of x minus 1 dx, which is equal to integral of 1 over x to the power of e plus e to the power of x is substituted by u times this whole bunch of expression at the numerator can be replaced by 1 over e du, which is equal to 1 over e is a constant that we can bring it to the front of the integral sign, that's 1 over e times integral of 1 over du, which is equal to 1 over e times integral of 1 over u du is ln u plus c. Let's back substitute u by x to the power of e plus e to the power of x. So the expression becomes 1 over e times ln of x to the power of e plus e to the power of x plus c. So choice A is the correct answer. Question number 44. Suppose 2,500 items are produced by a machine and 2% of the product are randomly selected and tested. If 5% of the tested items have a defect, then what is the probability that an item produced by a machine has no defect? Product selected for sales is equal to 2% of 2,500, which is equal to 0.02 times 2,500, which is equal to 50. Probability of defect is equal to number of defective items divided by total number of items tested. which is equal to number of defective items is 5 divided by total number of items tested is 50. 5 divided by 50 is equal to 0.1. Probability of no defect is equal to 1 minus probability of defect, which is equal to 1 minus 0.1, that is 0.9. Choice D is the correct answer. Question number 45. If f of x is equal to 1 over x, then what is the value of the nth derivative of f of x? F of x is equal to 1 over x, which is equal to x to the power of negative 1. The first derivative of x is equal to, let's plug negative 1 to the front, negative 1 times x to the power of negative 1 minus 1, which is equal to negative 1 times x to the power of negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2, which is equal to negative 1 over x. The second derivative of x is equal to, let's take this expression, that's negative 1 times x to the power of negative 2. Negative 1, the constant, times the derivative of x to the power of negative 2 is negative 2 times x to the power of negative 2 minus 1, which is equal to negative 1 times negative 2 times x to the power of negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, which is equal to negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2, divided by x cubed. The third derivative of x is equal to, let's use this expression to find the third derivative, that's negative 1 times negative 2 times the derivative of x to the power of negative 3 is negative 3 times x to the power of negative 3 minus 1, which is equal to negative 1 times negative 2 times negative 3 times x to the power of negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4, which is equal to negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2, positive 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, divided by x to the power of 4. The output at the numerator is positive when n is even and negative when n is odd. Thus it can be expressed as negative 1 to the power of n. Besides, the output at the numerator is a product of all values less than or equal to n, so it can be represented by n factorial. Thus, the numerator of the nth derivative of x is equal to negative 1 to the power of n times n factorial divided by, when n is equal to 1, the denominator is equal to x squared. When n is equal to 2, the denominator is equal to x cubed. And when n is equal to 3, the denominator is equal to x to the power of 4. Thus, the power is always greater than n by 1. Thus, it can be expressed as x to the power of n plus 1. So the final expression is the nth derivative of x is equal to negative 1 to the power of n times n factorial divided by x to the power of n plus 1. Therefore, the correct answer is choice A. Question number 46. If a region is enclosed by the graph f of x is equal to x squared and f of x is equal to x cubed, from x is equal to 0 to x is equal to 1, rotates the x-axis, what is the volume of a solid of revolution? Let's draw the graph of the region. This is the xy plane. The vertical line x is equal to 1 can be drawn like this. The rough sketch of f of x is equal to x squared can be drawn like this. Let this curve represent the rough sketch of f of x is equal to x cubed. The two curves intersect at 0, 0 and 1, 1. The volume of a solid of revolution of a region enclosed by the curves is given by the formula V is equal to pi times integral of x squared the power of 2 dx, x ranging from 0 to 1, minus integral of x cubed the power of 2 dx, x ranging from 0 to 1, which is equal to pi times integral of x squared the power of 2 means x to the power of 4 dx, x ranging from 0 to 1, minus integral of x cubed the power of 2 means x to the power of 6, x ranging from 0 to 1. This is equal to pi times integral of x to the power of 4 means 1 over 5 times x to the power of 5, x ranging from 0 to 1, minus integral of x to the power of 6 means 1 over 7, x to the power of 7, again x ranging from 0 to 1, which is equal to pi times 1 over 5 times 1 to the power of 5 minus 0 to the power of 5, minus 1 over 7 times 1 to the power of 7 minus 0 to the power of 7, which is equal to 1 to the power of 5 is 1 minus 0 is 1, 1 times 1 over 5 is 1 over 5, minus 1 to the power of 7 is again 1, 1 minus 0 is 1, 1 times 1 over 7 is 1 over 7, which is equal to 1 over 5 minus 1 over 7 is 2 over 35 times pi. So choice B is the right alternative. Question number 47. What is the limit of a sequence? 1, 2 over 2 square minus 1 square, 3 over 3 square minus 2 square, 4 over 4 square minus 3 square. The sequence under inquiry is equal to 1, 2 2 over 2 square minus 1 square, comma, 3 over 3 square minus 2 square, comma, 4 over 4 square minus 3 square, dot, dot, dot. If we take n at the numerator, then the denominator becomes n square minus n minus 1 the whole square. Let's simplify this expression. N over n square minus n minus 1 the whole square is equal to n over n square minus n minus 1 the whole square means n square minus 2n plus 1, which is equal to n over n square. This negative outside the bracket, multiply all the stuffs inside the bracket. That's negative 1 times n square is minus n square. Negative 1 times negative 2n is plus 2n. Negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1. N square minus n square is 0, so we left with n over 2n minus 1. So let's find the limit of this simplified expression. Limit of n over 2n minus 1, n approaches to infinity, is equal to, multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 1 over n. This gives us limit of n times 1 over n is 1 divided by 2n minus 1 times 1 over n, which is equal to limit of 1 over 2n times 1 over n is 2 minus 1 times 1 over n is 1 over n, which is equal to 1 over 2 minus, as n approaches to infinity, 1 over n approaches to 0, 2 minus 0 is 2, 1 divided by 2 is 1 over 2, therefore choice D is the correct answer. Question number 48. At what value of x does the function f of x is equal to 4x cubed over 3 minus x to the power of 4 attains its maximum value? Since f of x is a polynomial function, it's differentiable on all values of x. Hence, the maximum is achieved at f derivative of x is equal to 0. So let's determine f derivative of x. F derivative of x is equal to the constant 4 over 3 times the derivative of x cubed is 3x to the power of 3 minus 1 minus the derivative of x to the power of 4 is 4x to the power of 4 minus 1, which is equal to 3 cross out by 3, we left with 4 times x cubed minus 1 is x squared minus 4 times x to the power of 4 minus 1 is 3, that's x cubed. So f derivative of x is equal to 0 implies 4x squared minus 4x to the power of 3 is equal to 0. Let's take 4x squared as a common factor times 4x squared divided by 4x squared is 1 minus 4x cubed minus 4x squared is x, which is equal to 0. Let's use sign chart to determine the maximum value. 4x squared is equal to 0 when x is equal to 0. 1 minus x is equal to 0 when x is equal to 1. So let's determine the signs of 4x squared and 1 minus x in each of these three compartments. 4x squared is positive when x less than 0. It is 0 when x is equal to 0. Again positive when x greater than 0. 1 minus x is positive when x is less than 1. It is 0 when x is equal to 1. And negative when x greater than 1. So let's determine the sign of 4x squared times 1 minus x. Positive times positive is positive. 0 times positive is 0. Positive times positive is positive. Positive times 0 is 0. Positive times negative is negative. At x is equal to 1, the sign of 4x squared times 1 minus x turns from positive to negative. Thus the function attains its maximum when x is equal to 1. Therefore, choice A is the right alternative. Question number 49. If h of x is equal to the square root of 1 plus square root of x, then which one of the following is equal to the derivative of h of x? H derivative of x is equal to 1 over 2 times the expression inside the square root, that is square root of 1 plus square root of x, times the derivative of the stuffs inside the square root, that's 1 plus square root of x derivative, which is equal to 1 over 2 times the square root of 1 plus square root of x times the derivative of 1 is 0 plus the derivative of square root of x is 1 over 2 square root of x. 0 plus 1 over 2 square root of x is 1 over 2 square root of x. So multiplying this to give us 1 over 2 times 2 is 4 square root of x times the square root of 1 plus square root of x, which is equal to 1 over 4 times square root of x times 1 is x plus x times the square root of x is x square root of x. Thus the answer is choice C. Question number 50. Fatuma can solve 90% of the problem given in a book and Masfin can solve 70%. What is the probability that at least one of them will solve the problem selected at random from the book? The probability of at least one of them can solve is equal to 1 minus probability of both of them can solve. So let's determine the probability of both of them can't solve. The probability of Fatuma can't solve the problem is equal to 1 minus probability of Fatuma can't solve the problem, that's 0.9. 1 minus 0.9 is 0.1. Probability of Masfin can't solve the problem is equal to 1 minus the probability of Masfin can't solve the problem, that's 0.7, which is equal to 0.3. Probability of both of them can't solve the problem is equal to 0.3 times 0.1, that's 0.03. So the probability that at least one of them can't solve the problem is equal to 1 minus the probability that both of them can't solve the problem, which is equal to 1 minus 0.03, that is 0.97. Choice D is the correct answer. Question number 51. What is the polar form of the complex number 7 minus I divided by 3 minus 4i? First, let's simplify the expression by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate of 3 minus 4i is 3 plus 4i. Just substitute the sign negative by positive. Hence, multiply both the numerators, that's 7 minus I times 3 plus 4i divided by 3 minus 4i times 3 plus 4i, which is equal to 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4i is 28i. Negative I times 3 is negative 3i. Negative I times 4i is negative 4i square divided by 3 square is 9 minus 4i square is 16i square, which is equal to 21. 28 minus 3i is 25i minus 4 times I square is negative 1 divided by 9 minus 16 times I square is negative 1, which is equal to negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. Positive 4 plus 21 is 25 plus 25i divided by negative 16 times negative 1 is positive 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. Let's split this expression, that's 25 over 25 plus 25i over 25, which is equal to 25 divided by 25 is 1 plus 25i divided by 25 is I. So let's draw the graph of the simplified pole. This is the real and imaginary axis. The real part is 1, so it's located 1 unit to the right of the origin. The imaginary part is also 1, that's 1 unit above the origin. Point of intersection is 1, 1. Let theta is the angle between the real axis and the line drawn from the origin to 1, 1. Thus, tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. The opposite is 1 divided by adjacent to 1, which is equal to 1. So theta is equal to tan inverse of 1. This implies theta is equal to pi over 4. The polar form of z is given as the magnitude of z times cos theta plus I times sin theta, which is equal to the magnitude of 1 plus I is square root of 1 square plus 1 square times cos theta is pi over 4 plus I sin pi over 4, which is equal to 1 square is 1 plus 1 square is again 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, so it gives us root 2 times cos pi over 4 plus I sin pi over 4. Therefore, choice A is the correct answer. Question number 52. Which of the following is a correct assertion that can be proved by the principle of mathematical induction? Mathematical induction is one of the techniques which can be used to prove variety of mathematical statements which are formulated in terms of n, where n is a positive integer. Choice B and C specifies that m and k are positive integers, but for m greater than 9, m factorial is greater than or equal to 4 to the power of m. So choice B is not true. Hence the correct answer is choice C. That's all for this lesson. Have a nice time.